Okay. Um, Hello to anyone watching this video. It's me again. It's been a really long time since I last made a video. Not only that, this is a very different one too from the last two I've made. Today I'm going to be reading a book, which yes, I know, how surprising. But this is actually a labor of love dedicated to my best friend in the entire world and ever in my entire life. You know, my one and only. This is just for them. I would say their name, but I don't know if she'd like that. But yeah, just putting it out there. You know who you are. You know. I probably should because if you go to her YouTube channel, it's her first and last name, just like right there, out in the open. Which I think isn't that like rule number one of internet online safety to not use your real name. And she does it for like everything too. But yeah, I won't say it. Keep it a secret. This is between me and her. But anyways, yeah, this is for labor of love, passion project, dedicated to you. You can't see me, but I'm pointing at I guess, my screen. But like, imagine I'm pointing at you too. But yeah, anyways, yeah, as I said, I'm gonna be reading a book today, and it's a bit of a scary one, or it's supposed to be. I've never read it. This would be my first time reading it, and I was looking around for some sort of spooky, scary story to read, because I thought it'd be fun, for myself, and maybe just to read, in general. And I was looking around, and I found The Haunting of Hill House. This is a book that came up quite a few times. From what I've heard, since once again I don't really know anything about this book. It is a classic. One of the greatest haunted house stories ever, I think. It probably tells you a lot more in the introduction of the book, but I'm not reading that. Who reads those? Boring. Yeah, I just want to read the actual story. Dude, this introduction is like takes up like the first chunk of the book, and it's like, does anybody even read this stuff? I mean, it pretty much just kind of spoils the book in a way too, doesn't it? Because it's like telling you a lot of stuff about it and the story and the characters, from what I can tell by skimming over it. And yeah, I don't really want that. I want to be. I want everything to be as new as possible for me when I read this, and I guess for you guys too, since I'm going to be reading this. But yeah, and once again, this is really just for one specific person. But if anyone else comes across this too and watches it, this is like gonna be like a chill thing. If you want to just play this while you fall asleep or whatever. Yeah, just in case. Once again, if anyone else happens upon this, but this is primarily for that one special person, my best friend. So yeah. Also, I already started this book too. I read the first two chapters. They're actually pretty short. It's like a few pages long, and then you're on to the next one, which I actually do kind of like, because that's like it you feel like you're actually progressing through the story, you know. So yeah, I'm already on chapter 3, but I'll still give you a recap of the previous two, because then it'd probably be kind of confusing to just jump right in. I feel like maybe I should actually start from the first one, but I think this is when it starts getting interesting, because this is where the dialogue and stuff comes in, which also, as per request and my own promise, I'm going to be doing voices for the characters in the story. Well, I'm going to try to. I'm not that great with those, but once again, labor of love and passion project, so I'm going to try my best. But, oh yeah, right, so the first two chapters is just like kind of setting everything up and telling you a bit about the main characters here. So it starts with this doctor, not like a medical doctor, like a like a academic doctor, Doctor Montague, and he's. Let me just skim through these first actually, because I'm just trying to remember all this stuff off the top of my head. So what is this guy? Yeah, Doctor Montague, and he is. What is he? What is this guy? Let me see. Oh my gosh. This thing is made from like homemade paper or something, it seems too. It's like the pages are all uneven, a little soft. Which it's kinda cool, but at the same time it's kinda hard to flip pages because you end up skipping like two at a time. You see, Dr. Montague, John Montague, Dr. John Hunting at Full House. He has a degree in oh yeah, he's a doctor of philosophy and has taken his degree in anthropology. And what he wants is, he's interested in the supernatural. And his interest in that and wanting to make some sort of like publication off of it and get famous or something, brings him to Hill House, which is what I'm assuming within the story is an infamous haunted house. And so he ends up renting it for the summer. She's like, I want to do research and whatever. And so, but it's not going to be just him too. So he's going to stay there. But then he also invited a few other people to stay there at the house with him over the summer. And so he looked for specific people too, not just like anybody. Which is like put out an ad like, hey, come spend the summer with me. It's going to be really fun. He looked for people who have had, at some point in their lives, some sort of like, supernatural, paranormal, abnormal experience, you know. So he sends out a bunch of letters to a bunch of different people, and a lot of them don't respond. A few of them do respond, but then nothing ever comes of it. And then oh my gosh, what am I? We end up with like, was it like three people? I guess four, including, John Montague, John Hunting at Full House. So we have Eleanor, and wow, I forgot the other lady's name already. Yeah, Eleanor, and then Theodora, and then Luke. So Eleanor, she's kind of like a bit of a shut-in, socially awkward, shy. Because for most of her life, she had to take care of her sick mother. I don't know what she was sick of, I forgot. But yeah, she was her primary caretaker, locked away in her house all the time. Didn't really do much, didn't go outside. And she kind of built up a resentment for her mother and her family, kind of her whole life in general. She's like, oh, this sucks. So when she gets the letter from, oh no, also her paranormal experience was that her house was rained on by rocks periodically, on and off for like a few days straight, which was, obviously pretty strange. But anyways, when she gets the invite to go to the house, she's like, oh, yeah, sure. She like immediately accepted because she wanted to get away from her house, her situation. She was like kind of waiting for something to happen. So she readily accepted. Also worth mentioning, she has a brother-in-law, a sister, and niece, and she hates all of them. And then Theodora, she's a lot more bright, chipper, sociable. And her thing was she's kind of like clairvoyant, I guess. It said she did some tests. Like these doctors held up some cards in a completely separate room that she couldn't see, and she guessed like most of them. So she said, what, like psychic, clairvoyant, whatever. And she was like intrigued. But she wasn't immediately like, yeah, I'll go, like Eleanor was. Then it kind of hints, that something inside of her kind of like drew her to the invitation and to the house, I'm guessing too. Like her third eye or whatever, her supernatural sense. So she ends up accepting as well after getting into a fight with her roommate. So she kind of wants to get away for the summer, you know. Figures it's a perfect excuse to go. And then the last person is a guy named Luke Sanderson, and he's actually part of the family that owns the house. And he doesn't. From what I know so far, he doesn't have any sort of supernatural experience. It's more just like his grandma or his aunt or whatever is trying to get rid of him for the summer. It's like, yeah, go stay at this house. So yeah, he goes along with him as well. He's kind of, what you'd expect, like a confident rich guy. It says, what does it say about him? Yeah, he's a bit of a liar, a thief. It says he wouldn't really. That's like a kind of how he's perceived, but he's not like a malicious thief or like a bad person. He just kind of has that, that vibe that I guess people just kind of label him as. I'm not sure. We haven't met him yet. I just got that short description of him. But anyways, yeah. So far, those are the main characters. And chapter 3 is opening up with Eleanor, and she's trying to leave her house and take the car to go to the Hill House. Okay, so here we go. Chapter 3. And once again, I will do my best to do some sort of voice. Actually, let me take a drink of water really quick. Because now my mouth is feeling a bit dry. So give me a moment here, please. Stand by. Okay. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Chapter 3. And I believe this is opening up with the brother-in-law. Oh man, what am I gonna do? What kind of voice am I gonna do for this guy? Hmm. Okay. Uh, I just don't think she should take the car. So Eleanor's brother-in-law said stubbornly. It's half my car, Eleanor said. I helped pay for it. I just don't think she should take it, is all, her brother-in-law said. He appealed to his wife. It isn't fair she should have the use of it for the whole summer, and us have to do without. Carrie drives it all the time, and I never even take it out of the garage, Eleanor said. Besides, you'll be in the mountains all summer, and you can't use it there. Carrie, you know you won't use a car in the mountains. But suppose poor little Linny got sick or something, and we needed a car to get her to a doctor. It's half my car, Eleanor said. I mean to take it. Suppose even Carrie got sick. Suppose we couldn't get a doctor and needed to go to a hospital. I want it. I mean to take it. Yeah, you tell. I don't think so. Carrie spoke slowly, deliberately. We don't know where you're going, do we? You haven't seen fit to tell us very much about all this, have you? I don't think I can see my way clear to letting you borrow my car. It's half my car. No, Carrie said. You may not. Right. Eleanor's brother-in-law nodded. We need it, like Carrie says. Carrie smiled slightly. I'd never forgive myself, Eleanor, If I lent you the car and something happened, how do we know we can trust this doctor fellow? You're still a young woman, after all, and the car is worth a good deal of money. Well now, Carrie, I did call Homer in the credit office, and he said this fellow was in good standing at some college or other. Carrie said, still smiling. Of course, there is every reason to suppose that he is a decent man. But Eleanor does not choose to tell us where she's going, or how to reach her if we want the car back. Something could happen. We might never know. Even if Eleanor, she went on delicately, addressing her teacup, even if Eleanor is prepared to run off to the ends of the earth at the invitation of any man, there is still no reason why we should be permitted to take the car, my car, with her. It's half my car. Suppose poor little Linny got sick up there in the mountains, with nobody around, no doctor. In any case, Eleanor, I'm sure that I'm doing what Mother would have thought best. Mother had confidence in me and would certainly not never have approved my letting you run wild, going off heavens knows where, in my car. Or suppose even I got sick up there in... Oh, no, wait, this is Eleanor talking, I think. Or suppose even I got sick up there in... I'm sure Mother would have agreed with me, Eleanor. Besides, Eleanor's brother-in-law said, struck by a sudden idea. How do we know she'd bring it back in good condition? There has to be a first time for everything, Eleanor told herself. She got out of the taxi very early in the morning, trembling because by now, perhaps, her sister and her brother-in-law might be stirring with the first faint proddings of suspicion. She took her suitcase quickly out of the taxi while the driver lifted out the cardboard carton which had been on the front seat. Eleanor overtipped him. Oops. I feel like I've done it a lot too. Like whenever you get food or whatever and the thing costs like $15 or something, or like $20. And they show you the little thing where you they want you to tip them. And I'll tip them like $15 or like $10. I'm like, is that too much? For like a $20 thing? I don't know. But I do anyways because I don't want to be rude. But anyways, Eleanor tipped him too much, wondering if her sister and brother-in-law were following. Perhaps even now turning to the street and telling each other, there she is, just as we thought. The thief. There she is. How did I lose my... No, okay, never mind. She turned in haste to go into the huge city garage where their car was kept, glancing nervously toward the ends of the street. She crashed into a very little lady, sending packages in all directions, and saw with dismay a bag upset and break on the sidewalk, spilling out a broken piece of cheesecake, tomato slices, and a hard roll. Damn you! Damn you! The little lady screamed, her face pushed up close to Eleanor's. I was taking it home! Damn you! Damn you! I'm so sorry, Eleanor said. She bent down, but it did not seem possible to scoop up the fragments of tomato and cheesecake and shove them somehow back into the broken bag. How does a tomato break? Like when they just hit the ground, it kind of maybe get bruised up a little bit, but you'll still be fine. Like did it just explode as soon as it hit the floor? I don't know. The cheesecake, that's more understandable. I'd be pretty upset about that too if I bought an entire cheesecake and then just fell on the floor and I couldn't eat it anymore. I'd be like, what? I'd sue. Right, something. I don't know. I would be incorrigible. Did I use that word right? I don't know. Cheesecake's pretty good. Cheesecake Factory. I went there once. I've been there a few times actually, but the one time I did go there last time, I actually got cheesecake. It was pretty good. If I lost that, I'd be pretty upset. I relate to this old lady. Okay, anyways. Or was that? Right. The old lady was scowling down and snatching up her other packages before Eleanor could reach them. And at last Eleanor rose, smiling in convulsive apology. I'm really so sorry, she said. Damn you, the little old lady said, but more quietly. I was taking it home for my little lunch, and now, thanks to you. Perhaps I could pay? Eleanor took hold of her pocket book, and the little lady stood very still and thought. She said, yeah, why not? Oh, no, she didn't actually. I couldn't take money just like that, she said at last. I didn't buy the things, you see. They were left over. She snapped her lips angrily. You should have seen the ham they had, she said. But someone else got that. And the chocolate cake, and the potato salad, and the little candies in the little paper dishes. I was too late on everything. Now. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Hold on. Give me a minute. Ooh. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Anyways, she and Eleanor both glanced down at the mess on the sidewalk, and the little lady said, So you see, I couldn't just take money. Not money just from your hand. Not for something that was left over. May I buy you something to replace this, then? I'm in a terrible hurry, but if we could find some place that's open. The little old lady smiled wickedly. I've still got this, anyway, she said, as she hugged one package tight. She's got like a giant block of drugs or something. Anyways. You may pay my taxi fare home, she said. Then no one else would be likely to knock me down. Gladly, Eleanor said, and turned to the taxi driver, who had been waiting, interested. Can you take this lady home? She asked. A couple of dollars will do it, the little lady said. Not including a tip for this gentleman, of course, being as small as I am, she explained daintily. It's quite a hazard indeed, people knocking you down. Still, it's a genuine pleasure to find someone as willing as you to make up for it. Sometimes people who knock you down never tell much to look. Yep, that's true. With Eleanor's help, she climbed into the taxi with her packages, and Eleanor took $2 and a 50-cent piece from her pocketbook and handed them to the little lady, who clutched them tight in her tiny hand. All right, sweetheart. Oh, wait, no, that's the taxi driver talking. All right, sweetheart, the taxi driver said. Where do we go? The little lady chuckled. I'll tell you after we start, she said, and then to Eleanor. Good luck to you, dearie. Watch out from now on how you go knocking people down. She will not let that. She will not let that go. I mean, honestly, fair, because she just lost an entire cheesecake once again. Goodbye, Eleanor said, and I'm really very sorry. That's fine then, the little lady said, waving at her as the taxi pulled away from the curb. I'll be praying for you, dearie. Well, Eleanor thought, staring at the taxi. There's one page turn. There's one person, anyway, who'll be praying for me. One person, anyway. Okay, chapter 4. Wow, also, did she give her $2.50? That was enough for an entire taxi fare plus a tip back then? When does the story take place? That's pretty crazy. I probably couldn't buy a candy bar for $2.50, let alone a ride across town or wherever that old lady's going to sell her kilo, whatever she's got in that mysterious package. Okay, but anyways, chapter 4. It was the first genuinely shining day of summer, a time of year which brought Eleanor always to aching memories of her early childhood, when it had seemed to be summer all the time. She could not remember a winter before her father's death on a cold, wet day. She had taken to wondering lately, during these swift counted years. What had been done with all those wasted summer days? How could she have spent them so wantonly? I'm foolish, she told herself, early every summer. I'm very foolish. I'm grown up now, and know the value of things, values of things. Nothing is ever really wasted, she believed sensibly, even one's childhood. Then each year, one summer morning, the warm wind would come down the city street where she walked, and she would be touched with a little cold thought. I have let more time go by. Yet this morning, driving the little car which she and her sister owned together, apprehensive lest they might still realize that she had come back after all and just taken it away, going docilely along the street, following the lines of traffic, stopping when she was bidden and turning when she could. She smiled out at the sunlight slanting along the street and thought, I am going, I am going. I have finally taken a step. I feel like I read that wrong, but whatever. Moving on. Always before, when she had her sister's permission to drive the little car, she had gone cautiously, moving with extreme care to avoid even the slightest scratch or mar which might irritate her sister. But today, with her carton on the back seat and her suitcase on the floor, her gloves and pocketbook and light coat on the seat beside her, the car belonged entirely to her, a little contained world all her own. I'm really going, she thought. At last, the traffic light in the city, before she turned to go onto the great highway out of town, she stopped, waiting, and slid Dr. Montague's letter out of her pocketbook. I will not even need a map, she thought. He must be a very careful man. Route 39 to Ashton, the letter said. Sorry, I had to burp right there. You didn't hear it. Excuse me. Anyways. Okay, yeah. And then turn left onto Route 5 going west. Follow this for a little less than 30 miles. You will come to the small village of Hillsdale. Right. Hillsdale, Haunting of Hill House. Right, okay. Go through Hillsdale to the corner with the gas station on the left and the church on the right, and turn left there onto what seems to be a narrow country road. You will be going up into the hills and the road is very poor. Follow this road to the end, about 6 miles. Oh my gosh! No, wait. That was 8 mile, actually. The M&M thing, this is 6 miles. Never mind. Okay. What was that? Yeah, 6 miles. And you will come to the gates of Hill House. I am making these directions so detailed because it is inadvisable to stop in Hillsdale to ask your way. The people there are rude to strangers and openly hostile to anyone inquiring about Hill House. Oh, should I have been reading this in his voice this whole time? I probably should have. Okay, let me start with this next one. What kind of voice would Dr. Montague have? Something like really proper sounding. See, every time I think of that, I just immediately fall into like a British accent. I just do that, I guess. I don't know. I am very. Wait, no. That sounds too. I am very happy that you will be joining us in Hill House, and will take great pleasure in making your acquaintance on Thursday, the 21st of June. That was like a mixture of Irish and British. I don't know what that was. The light changed. She turned onto the highway and was free of the city. No one, she thought, can catch me now. They don't even know which way I'm going. She had never driven far alone before. The notion of dividing her lovely journey into miles and hours was silly. She saw it, bringing her car with precision between the line on the road and the line of trees beside the road, as a passage of moments, each one new, carrying her along with them, taking her down a path of incredible novelty to a new place. The journey itself was her positive action, her destination vague, page turn, unimagined, perhaps non-existent. She meant to savor each turn of her traveling, loving the road and the trees and the houses and the small ugly towns. What a quaint way of describing them. Teasing herself with the notion that she might take into her head to stop just anywhere and never leave again. She might pull her car to the side of the highway, although that was not allowed. She told herself she would be punished if she really did, and leave it behind while she wandered off past the trees into the soft, welcoming country beyond. She was like really desperate to leave. She's like, rather just walk into the forest and become a wild person. She might wander though she was exhausted, chasing butterflies or following a stream, and then come at nightfall to the hut of some poor woodcutter who would offer her shelter. She might make her home forever in East Barrington or Desmond, or the incorporated village of Burke. Burke? Oh my gosh, this is connected to the How to Train Your Dragon universe? Whoa. Anyways, she might never leave the road at all, but just hurry on till the wheels of a car were worn to nothing and she had come to the end of the world. And she thought, I might just go along to Hill House, where I am expected, and where I am being given shelter and room and board and a small token salary in consideration of forsaking my commitments and involvements in the city and running away to the world. I wonder what Dr. Montague is like. I wonder what Hill House is like. I wonder who else will be there. She was well away from the city now, watching for the turning onto Route 39, the magic thread of road Dr. Montague had chosen for her, out of all the roads in the world, to bring her safely to him and to Hill House. I have to sneeze again. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, sorry. I need another drink of water too. My throat is getting dry. Give me another second. Give me like a minute. Okay, sorry. Man. Alright, what was that? Mm-hmm. Okay, jeez. Sorry. Where was I actually for real this time? Okay, there we go. No other road could lead her from where she was to where she wanted to be. Dr. Montague was confirmed, made infallible. Under the sign which pointed the way to Route 39 was another sign saying Ashton, 121 miles. The road, her intimate friend now, turned and dipped, going around turns where surprises waited. Once a cow, regarding her over a fence. Once an incurious dog. Down to hollows where small towns lay, past fields and orchards. On the main street of one village she passed a vast house, pillared and walled, with shutters over the windows and a pair of stone lions guarding the steps. And she thought that perhaps she might live there, dusting the lions each morning and patting their heads good night. Time is beginning this morning in June, she assured herself. But it is a time that is strangely new and of itself. In these few seconds I have lived a lifetime in a house with two lions in front. Every morning I swept the porch and dusted the lions, and every evening I patted their heads good night. And once a week I washed their faces and manes with paws with warm water and soda, and cleaned between their teeth with a swab. Soda? Oh, well, like Coca-Cola? I've seen that. You can clean stuff with Coca-Cola. I've seen that before. Is that true? I've never tried it. Usually if I do have Coca-Cola, I drink it. Anyways. Inside the house, the rooms were tall and clear with shining floors and polished windows. A little dainty old lady took care of me, moving starchily with a silver tea service on a tray, and bringing me a glass of elderberry wine each evening for my health's sake. I took my dinner alone in a long, quiet dining room at the gleaming table, and between the tall windows and oh my gosh, and between the tall windows, the white paneling of the walls shone the candlelight. I dined upon a bird, and radishes from the garden, and homemade plum jam. That sounds pretty good. What kind of bird? Just like any bird? Like this one she caught outside? What kind of bird would I eat if I was rich and had like one of those like really nice, super long dining tables? Probably like a goose, maybe. That sounds fancy. Sounds opulent. Or perhaps a quail, or I don't know, a pheasant. That sounds fancy. Yeah, maybe that. Anyways, when when I slept, it was under a canopy of white organdy, and the nightlight guarded me from the hole. People bowed to me in the streets of the town because everyone was very proud of my lines. When I died, she had left the town far behind by now, and was going past dirty, closed lunch stands and torn signs. There had been a fair somewhere near here once, long ago, with motorcycle races. The signs still carried fragments of words. Dare, one of them read, and another, evil. And she laughed at page turns. And she laughed at herself, perceiving how she sought out omens everywhere. The word is daredevil. Eleanor, daredevil drivers. And she slowed her car because she was driving too fast. It might reach Hill House too soon. At one spot she stopped altogether beside the road to stare in disbelief and wonder. Along the road for perhaps a quarter of a mile, she had been passing and admiring a row of splendid tended oleanders, blooming pink and white in a steady row. Now she had come to the gateway they protected, and past the gateway the trees continued. The gateway was no more than a pair of ruined stone pillars, with a road leading away between them into empty fields. She could see that the oleander trees cut away from the road and ran up each side of a great square, and she could see all the way to the farther side of the square, which was a line of oleander trees seemingly going along a little river. I really likes oleander. I have no idea what an oleander tree is or what it looks like. Sounds nice, I guess. Where was I? Inside the oleander square there was nothing. No house, no building, nothing. Nothing but the straight road going across and ending at the stream. Now what was here? She wondered. What was here and is gone? What was going to be here and never came? What is going to be a house? Wait, was it going to be a house or a garden or an orchard? Were they driven away forever? Or are they coming back? Oleanders are poisonous, she remembered. Could they be here guarding something? Will I, she thought, will I get out of my car and go between the ruined gates and then, once I am in the magic Oleander Square, find that I have wandered into a fairyland, protected poisonously from the eyes of people passing? She's obviously a bit of a dreamer. Active imagination on this one, huh? Once I've stepped between the magic gateposts, will I find myself with a protective barrier? A spell broken? I will go into a sweet garden, with fountains and low benches and roses trained over arbors, don't know what those are, and find one path, jeweled, perhaps with rubies and emeralds, soft enough for a king's daughter to walk upon with her little sandaled feet. And it will lead me directly to the palace which lies under a spell. I will walk slow I will walk up low stone steps past stone lions guarding, into a courtyard where a fountain plays and the queen waits, weeping for the princess to return. She will drop her embroidery when she sees me, cry out to the palace servants, stirring at last after their long sleep, prepare a great feast, because the enchantment is ended and the palace is itself again, and we shall live happily ever after. No, of course, she thought, turning to start her car again. Once the palace becomes visible and the spell is broken, the whole spell will be broken, and all this countryside outside the oleanders will return to its proper form, fading away, towns and signs and cows, to a soft green picture from a fairy tale. Then, coming down from the hills, there will be a prince riding, bright in green and silver, with 100 bowmen riding behind him, pennants stirring, horses tossing, jewels flashing. She laughed and turned to smile goodbye at the magic oleanders. Another day, she told them. Another day I'll come back and break your spell. She stopped for lunch after she had driven 100 miles and a mile. She found a country restaurant which advertised itself as an old mill and found herself seated, incredibly, on a balcony over a dashing stream, looking down upon wet rocks and the intoxicating sparkle of moving water, with a cut glass bowl of cottage cheese on the table before her, and corn sticks in a napkin. So she stopped at a restaurant just to get cottage cheese. Ew. Not sure what corn sticks are either, but maybe it could be good. Definitely not the cottage cheese, though. Yeah, I'll pass on that. Also, I'm gonna take another drink of water really quick, because I am parched. Straight up dehydrated. Okay, here we go. Back to this. So, her and her bowl of cottage cheese. Alright. Because this was a time in a land where enchantments were swiftly made and broken, she wanted to linger over her lunch, knowing that Hill House always waited for her at the end of her day. The only other people in her dining room were a family party. That's her lunch, too. She's not eating anything that whole day, except for a bowl of cottage cheese. Oh my gosh, the chapter is unbelievably long, too. How many more pages do I got here? Hold on. I'm looking. If it's more than like, goodness gracious. Okay. What's up here? You know, I think I'll stop here for now. And then I can resume this next time. This is probably gonna take a while for this to really get going. But you know what? No rush. Supposed to take your time in a book like this. There's only a little bit of dialogue in the beginning, and then it kind of went straight back into descriptions and whatnot, and internal dialogues. But yeah, once again, there'll always be more for next time. So I guess that concludes this little, reading video. And I hope the person who I made this for enjoyed it. Hope you did, because I made this just for you. Labor of love once again, because I love you. And anyone else who watched this, might have watched this or listened to this. It's like 40 minutes. I'm just gonna post this whole thing, not bother editing it, because to keep it in its authentic form. But yeah, I guess I'll end it here. I'll make another one too. Maybe should I continue this one, or should I do another book next time? I actually did promise to make another video too for the very same person. You know who you are once again. So I'm gonna make another one anyways, but that one's gonna be a different book. Actually. So yeah. But yeah. I will see you when I see you again and make another video. And once again, to that very special person, her name starts with an L, ends with an E, just to be more specific. So, yeah, you Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. And I love you. I love you. I do. And if you needed to hear that, anyone else who watched this too, yeah, sure, I love you too. But no offense, not as much as I love, the person I made this for. But yeah. Anyways, okay, that's it.